Facebook and Twitter people recommending the content be taken down. I don't think that that was very smart. I think that was bad policy by the Biden administration. But it was kind of mid-level bureaucratic stuff. I don't think it was really limiting people's free speech all that much.
In this video, Dave Smith joins the panel of Piers Morgan Uncensored. Dave Smith debates the ridiculous claim that Elon Musk is a Nazi with some liberal lunatic named Tim Miller. With that, let's watch Dave Smith make short work of woke idiot Tim Miller.
Even by her standards, bonkers. We've been joined, Tim Miller's with us now. Tim, great to have you back on Uncensored. I watched this happen. I watched the immediate reaction. I thought, here we go. We're back into the Nazis. Is there no way of American political discourse, led by the Democrats, I have to say, is there no way of just moving past Nazis and Hitler? Can we not just all agree that it's a ridiculous and fatuous thing to keep playing out as a narrative and doesn't work? Hence Trump's big win, despite everyone on the left calling him a Nazi. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think we'll start with one area of agreement actually that I have with you and Clay, which is different for me lately, which is I agree that it is, I don't think, a good strategy. The fact that you guys are talking about it shows that it's not a great strategy. If they were doing some very effective messaging, I kind of think that Clay would probably be ignoring it. So I agree. I think Elon's kind of a weird guy that was doing kind of an awkward gesture. I think we can all admit it was kind of awkward, but he does a lot of kind of awkward things. If I was the Democrats, here's what I'd be focused on when it comes to Elon Musk. This man is the largest government contractor, the largest recipient of government money. He is the largest donor to Donald Trump's campaign. He is the owner of a communications platform, and he will have an office inside the White House. I mean, there was mass outrage on the right about the fact that some people in the Biden administration were emailing.
If you like watching videos like this one, like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Let's get back to the video.
Facebook and Twitter people recommending the content be taken down. I don't think that that was very smart. I think that was bad policy by the Biden administration. But it was kind of mid-level bureaucratic stuff. I don't think it was really limiting people's free speech all that much. Now, I don't understand how you could be upset about that, but then be okay about the owner of a communications platform having an office in the White House, having a security clearance, and being able to put the thumb on the scale of his algorithm to promote what is happening out of this administration. We can all agree, if you just go on the Twitter or the X For You page, it's like Elon Musk Propaganda Central. So now we have an officer of the American government controlling a communications platform. I would think that people who are concerned about speech and free and open dialogue in this country would be astonished by that. In addition to the potential corruption, if you're an Elon competitor, what must you be thinking right now if you're a competitor of SpaceX or competitor of Tesla, which receive billions of dollars for the government, and the owner of that company is now going to have control over a government efficiency program where he gets to choose where money goes? The corruption here is astonishing. It'd be like if George Soros had an office off of the West Wing when Joe Biden was president. It's insane. So if I was the Democrats, I'd be focused on that level of corruption and not his awkward hand gesture.
Well, it's very interesting what you've just said. And I'll bring Dave Smith in because I've got to say, it's good to hear someone on the left admit that this Nazi stuff is bullshit. I just think it is, and it's just stupid. And also, I just feel I'm not Jewish, but if I was, I would be so endlessly offended, deeply, mortally offended, that people keep trying to draw an equivalence between Donald Trump and the Republicans and the Nazis. I just think it's ridiculous. Anyway, first, your thoughts on that. But secondly, interesting point I thought there from Tim, which is, you can. I didn't actually agree with your first part, Tim, about Facebook and stuff. I think they did have a pretty insidious impact on things like suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop story.
The bar for honesty is so low with Democrats that when they say something as simple as all this Nazi talk, Hitler talk, calling Elon Musk a Nazi is quote unquote a bad strategy or just dumb in general, we're supposed to pat them on the back. I mean, it's just the truth, which I guess we're just not used to hearing from someone on the left. But do you see how he tried to gloss over the Biden administration working with Facebook to suppress right-wing voices and prop up left-wing voices, as well as the election interference with the Hunter Biden laptop? And he said, I don't think that was a good strategy, but I don't think that suppressed speech too much. The New York Post was either kicked off Facebook or Twitter, I can't remember which, because they told the truth about the Hunter Biden laptop. And you don't think that's suppressing speech? Not to mention during the pandemic, all of the people, including experts, medical doctors, that weren't allowed to voice their opinion. And a lot of those were very accurate, educated opinions on about what was going on. So their memory holding or their manipulation of the facts in their head is astounding. The difference between Elon Musk working with the Trump administration and what happened with the Biden administration and the FBI coordinating with social media platforms is that, as far as I know, and I would condemn him if he did it, but as far as I know, Elon Musk isn't suppressing anybody's speech. It would be equivalent if he were going out of his way to prop up conservative figures and suppress liberal figures. But he's not doing that. So it's just not an apples to apples comparison. And no, it's not the same as if the left had George Soros with an office in the White House or in part of some government agency. George Soros is essentially like the richest gangster on the planet. Like, he'll dig up dirt on people and use it against them when they're running against his candidate. And he will actually place candidates in office that will serve his nefarious desires because he's got a ton of money. And all the money he uses to fund their campaigns, they'll take it, but they've sold their soul. I just do not see that as being equivalent to anything that Elon Musk has done. And for him to use the word corruption towards the right is truly laughable. And I'll tell you what, if Elon Musk does do something to suppress speech, even of the left, as much as I love to hear it, I don't think that's right, and I would call him out on it. But I see zero evidence of that. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
The New York Post getting locked out of social media for the last 2 weeks of that last election and so on. I think that was very wrong. However, I do think you make a very interesting comparative point. And Dave, I'm interested what your take is on this. First, Nazigate, but secondly, the point Tim makes about Elon Musk getting an office in the West Wing and comparing that to the influence perhaps that Facebook had last time around.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, there's some that I agree with, a lot I don't. So I would be in agreement that I think even if you want to make the argument somehow that, like, Elon Musk this was a dog whistle, he's a secret Nazi, and he chose this as his moment to, like, subliminally come out as a Nazi, and that was the message somehow. The fact is, Pierce, as you addressed at the top of the show, the Democrats have just gone to this well far too many times, and nobody's listening anymore. So even if this was the real case, which I don't think it is, I think he's just a somewhat awkward kind of herky-jerky guy in these moments. But even if this was the case, I'm sorry, you just billed Donald Trump's rally as a Nazi rally because it was in Madison Square Garden. Yeah. And that was the only connection that you had. So it's just boy who cried wolf. And I will say, I am Jewish. I don't think it matters that I'm Jewish and you're not. I think we can all have an opinion on this. But I think that the constant comparisons to Hitler and the constant invoking of the Nazis is just stupid. Yeah. And I'll put the blame initially, I really think it's the neoconservatives who first really put this into the popular lexicon, where every single enemy that they wanted a regime change against was always the next Hitler. Saddam Hussein's the next Hitler.
As I was listening to this, I was taking notes, and Dave Smith beat me to the punch with his boy who cried wolf analogy. It's the same thing with racism, right? The left says it so much that they take the power and evil out of those words. So if you call everything racist, you call everyone a Nazi, well, then it actually benefits people who really do believe evil things that people described as that would, because you might have a real racist or a Nazi and someone's like, hey, this guy's racist, he's dangerous, we got to look out. And everyone's like, okay, yeah, whatever. We've heard you say that 10 trillion times before. It's never true. So, sorry. And no one's going to scrutinize someone who might actually be dangerous, with those ideologies. But the Democrats are just such a shit show right now that they have so little to talk about as far as accomplishments, as far as policy ideas, or anything substantive, that all they can do is disparage Donald Trump and call everything racist, homophobic, sexist, Islamophobic, xenophobic, whatever it may be. That's their entire playbook now. And they've done this to themselves with their intense focus on identity politics. And I'm not adding anything new to Dave Smith's comment, but I just never got to comment on it before. That was just bananas how low the left will stoop when Donald Trump had this, in my opinion, very positive, kind of very joyful, loving feeling rally at Madison Square Garden. And because it was there, they said it was like a Nazi rally. I don't think if someone made that up, people would believe it. It's so stupid. Anyway, let's wrap up the video.
Hitler, Bashar al-Assad, Muammar Gaddafi, whoever it is, they're the next Hitler. And it's always just so ridiculous. And I've heard from a lot of the hardcore Israel supporters that Hamas are Nazis. The comparisons are ridiculous. And we don't need to pretend that this, I'm sorry, I'm not hearing you if you're trying to interrupt me, but let me just finish my point. I think that the Nazis were a unique evil, and to call everybody Nazis just it does just make the term lose value. Now, I would say that to downplay the amount of censorship that we saw under the Biden regime, and even before Joe Biden came in, I think is just not fair. I mean, listen, as somebody who was adamantly opposed to lockdowns and vaccine mandates during COVID, the censorship was very widespread, and many people had their lives and livelihoods ruined simply for speaking up about government policies that, by the way, they turned out to be right about. And all the people saying follow the science turned out to be wrong about quite a bit of the science.
Yeah, just to add on to something Dave said there, if you've watched this channel with any regularity, anytime I mention the pandemic, I don't even say the C word. I don't say the V word. I don't say any of that stuff because the ramifications that people felt during that time when they said those things, people would just be kicked off of YouTube very unfairly. And as much as I'm committed to the truth and always telling the truth, it does stink that I have to dance around certain words. It doesn't change my message, but that I have to be mindful of certain words that are not remotely offensive or anything. People may agree with the opinion, but it's not like offensive or nasty speech, but there are certain words I'm afraid to say. So whether they're still actively doing that or not, I'm not taking a chance by saying anything that in the past has gotten people the boot off of YouTube. So as much as I believe things are moving in the right direction on social media platforms, the effects of what has happened in the past are still there, for at least for someone like me. But we want to hear from you. What do you all think about this conversation between Dave Smith and Tim Miller and peers about constant going to the Nazi well? And let me know what you think about what I said with regard to Elon Musk working with the Trump administration. Is it a huge conflict of interest, or does it only kind of cross that line if he suppresses speech, implements guidelines that suppress speech for, folks that he doesn't agree with, or any other comments? We'd love to hear it. Anyway, as always, really appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.